jumping into today's stuff, we're going to jump right into what we call race management. So today we're going to do an entire race evening. I'm going to do a very small class compared to obviously what most classes are for a drag strip. My class is only going to have 8 vehicles in it, but we're going to run a complete race from beginning to end, starting at registrations, working our way all the way to points and pay. So we're going to do a little bit of everything and just make sure that you guys understand all the steps along the way. And like I said earlier, we're going to do 2 different versions. We're going to do our live timing version, which would be with our PortaTree timing systems, and we're also going to do some manual stuff. So whether it's manual results or manual points or whatever it might be, we're going to do everything that we can. I'm going to show you a little bit of how to do all of it. That way, no matter what timing system you have, you understand how to use what you've got. So to start off, I'm going to get rid of this window, and we're going to go right to your profile. When you log in, you're going to get to this dashboard page. Yesterday we worked a lot out of this dashboard page, but today we're going to go right to race management. Race management happens to be this little checkered flag right here on the left hand side, right below season management, again where we were yesterday. If you click on race management right now, it's going to take you to your next active event on your schedule. So if I click on this, it's going to take me to the event I created yesterday, which was that 225 event. That would be today. So it automatically takes you to your next active event. It also takes you directly to your setup page. The setup page is really important, especially if you are a PortaTree timing system, because this is where you're going to tell your timing runs where to send the data when it sends it to My Race Pass. So on this page, you'll see all of the classes that you are running for that evening over here on the left-hand side. If there's a class missing, obviously you can see this green Add Class button. You just click on it, and again, any available class from your season will show up here. If you need to add a class to your season, you go back to Season Management to do that. That's what we talked about yesterday. Otherwise, every class you have listed or every class you plan on running that evening will be listed here on the left-hand side. For each one of those classes, you have class settings. Now, again, most of this information is important, so make sure that you are doing it accurately. The first thing, obviously, is your ladder type. We do not produce ladders. However, we do have the capability of showing on the admin side a qualifying list. So if you do qualifying through My Race Pass or through your timing system that connects to My Race Pass, you can produce a qualifying order from that. However, we do not produce ladders at this time. That is something that we are planning for the future. So pick the ladder type that is most relevant to you and what you're doing. Most of the time, it's the quickest ET is at the top. If you are doing an index class, obviously it's in ET to the index or ET under the index, like stock and super stack. Those are under the index, where something like super street or hot rod, quick rod, any of those are going to be like to the index. Over on the right hand side in the top, you're also going to see run length. This means the length that class is going to run, not necessarily your track length, but the length that your class is going to run, because obviously we know sometimes sportsmen will run quarter mile if you're a quarter mile track, but you still might have 8-mile classes like junior dragsters or Tappy T or whatever it might be. So make sure that you click the proper run length for the class that you're running. So my pro class tonight, that's the one I'm going to do all of my information out of, or all of my testing out of. My pro class tonight is going to be an 8th mile class. So I'm going to click on the 8th mile. And then down, the next thing down is obviously ladder type. If you're a pro ladder or a sportsman ladder. If it's bracket racing, obviously it's typically sportsman ladder. If anything, most of the time we don't use ladders in bracket racing unless we're down to the final 8 or so, if at all. Then the drag tree over here on the right hand side, you can tell whether it's a full tree, a pro tree, 500th pro tree, or 400th pro tree. So again, pick the tree type that you need for your particular class. And underneath that is the result style. So is it a bracket race or is it a heads up class? And if it's a heads up class, does it have an index? Make sure that all of those check boxes are appropriately marked. And then the other information that's super important is the timing name. This is especially important for the live timing system to work properly. So make sure that you read this blurb right here. It says timing name is used to link timing data to this class and should be identical to the class name used in the timing system. So you don't need to use the number of your category, but you do need to have the name of your category exactly the same as it is written in your timing system. Case sensitive and everything. So make sure that it is properly written in there. If it's all in caps, make sure it's all in caps. If it's one word, make sure it's one word. You know, the whole thing needs to be identical. Lastly, is this required registration. This is something that I wanted to talk about, especially for our bracket classes, or sorry, bracket tracks that are going to, or somebody who's going to use points for only points registered members. Because we all know in bracket racing, most of the time, we're going to have a handful of racers, 20, 25, 30 of them, that are not part of our actual points program. And it makes it difficult to calculate points or to check box. So I guess it's not difficult. It just makes it more time consuming to uncheck the people who are not going to receive points than it is to require a registration. So yesterday I talked a lot about having a yearly registration be like a point sign up. So if you have a point sign up, you can use that as a required registration on your class, and that will help you calculate points faster later. So right here in this checkbox or in this drop down menu, I'm going to choose one of the two registrations that I have in my system right now. And that obviously is going to be my point sign up, because again, my point sign up is where all of my registered points racers are going to be. Once you have all of the checkboxes selected for your class, you're going to click Save as Defaults, because every single time you use this class, all of these checked boxes will stay exactly the same, including your timing name, which I do need to put in here. I'm going to do this as Top Dragster. That's what my timing system, that's the category I'm using in my timing system. But obviously, you probably have one that's more closely named to the class that you're using. Again, check default again. I forgot when I changed that, it unchecked my default. So now every time I use this class in any event on my 2025 schedule, it will have these settings, and I don't have to go in and check them all again. I will look through them, but I don't have to change anything necessarily. So once you have your class done, you're going to click Save down here in the bottom right, and then you will move on to the next class. You can scroll down to the next class like so, or you can select the name of the class over here from the left one, and it will scroll down for you. So you'll want to go through every single class on your setup schedule, or sorry, on your setup page, and make sure all these settings are selected properly for your event. Once you've done that, the next thing that we're going to look at, make sure that we run through all of these. The next thing that you're going to look at is your entries list. This is the next important piece on the menu of things that we'll do this evening. The entries list is super important. I apologize. The entry list is super important because there are three different ways, or sorry, you have to have all of your racers entered into your entries list in order to have them produce results. So if they're not in your race, then you can't obviously have results for them or points for them or anything else related to the evening. So they have to be in your race in order to count. So you can see that in this class, I have 3 racers over here on what we call the left tray. But up here at the top, more importantly, I can see what class I'm looking at. This one happens to be the sportsman class. So I'm going to click on this drop down because I actually want to go to my pro bracket, because remember I said earlier that's the class I'm going to do my simulation race out of. So I'm going to go to pro bracket, and you can see I have a few more racers over here on the left-hand tray. So you have to enter all of the racers that are racing at your event into the race in order for them to earn points or for results to be produced for them. So when you have them entered in the race, they'll show up here on the right-hand side. And I'm going to talk about 3 different ways that you can add racers to your event based on where your data is coming from or what you might have. So the first place that you're going to get your racers from are over here on this left-hand tray. The way they get into this left-hand tray is by being added to a previous race on your schedule or completing a registration for this particular event. If they've done 1 or 2 of those things, they will show up here on this left-hand tray. So if you have racers show up to this event and it's their first time, they will show up on any future event for this specific class in this left-hand tray. So you can add them from there. So the first one is, I'm going to click on Benny. If you click on his name, his profile will come up and it will show you a few pieces of information. The first one being the number, his car number. This is set as a default when he registered or entered a race previously. If it's his first time coming to your event, you can check this box and say use this default if it's always his number. Like let's say it's his IHRA number or his NHRA number or WDRA number, whatever it might be. If it's his permanent number, check that as being his default number, and you should not have to put that in again when you add Benny the next time. Underneath that, we have owner. Owner is used if somebody else owns the car or if somebody else is getting paid out for any kind of payment or winnings that he would receive. So a lot of our racers obviously have race businesses or businesses in general that might be getting paid out. If that's the case, you're going to click owner, the little magnifying glass right here, and you're going to find a team. Now, if he's registered with a registration, he probably added owner information himself. So you'll be able to find that. If not, you might have to go to all owners and then add his team. If you add his team, it'll just have you add a team name and it will go from there. You can also make the owner the payee. So payout goes to the owner. Again, that's if the business or someone else is getting paid out for Benny's winnings. And you can also, again, set that as a default. So then every time Benny's added, that owner name will show up as well. Underneath that, we have pay amount and payment method. These are not typically used for anything that we do in drag racing. So I just kind of skip over those and move on. But this might be used if you're going to talk about paying their way into something. You could put that here if you needed to. Next up is the activate competitor. Again, check this to make this competitor active in your list. Obviously, you want that to happen because he's in your event. You want him to be active. Contingency information. We don't use contingency on the drag racing side right now. We do have a few oval organizations that use that for keeping track of. They have some contingency points and contingency payout based on chassis and engine builders and that kind of thing. So they use some of the contingency information. Over on the left-hand side, obviously you see this orange helmet. This is his profile picture. Every driver has the opportunity to update their profile picture to whatever they like, as long as it's appropriate, obviously. So this just happens to be his. Underneath that, you can see competitor information. That's like his name. Is his profile claimed? The red X means it's not claimed, meaning there's nobody that's actually manning, quote unquote, manning this profile. If it's a green check, obviously that means somebody has claimed that profile. He does have an address on file. That's because, and I'll show you in a minute why, but he does have an address on file and it shows up right here for you to see. And does he have all his forms? Meaning you have the opportunity to check this when he registers for your point sign up and those kind of things. If you have things like W-9s or anything that needs to be filled out, you can go in and change that status to a yes, that he has all of his forms once he's turned everything in that he needs to turn in. Finally, we have two other things on here. The confirmed membership, the Your Favorite Track point sign up. See where it says 2025 point sign up? That means he has a confirmed membership in that point sign up, as well as an event registration for this specific event. You can see that it has been confirmed by me. So that means that he has been, okayed to run this event, essentially. That is why his address shows up here on file, because he is a member of my point sign up. You can also click on this view registration form if you want to. It does take you to what he filled out when he completed his registration. This is also something you could print out if you wanted to collect your driver's social security numbers or federal ID numbers when they collect their paychecks or their payout checks. Again, social security numbers and federal ID numbers are not something that my race pass houses, but it is something that you can collect and keep in your own filing system if you would like. There are other ways to get to this registration form, and I can show you that if you need that. Lastly, once you've looked it all over, the one thing you do have to double check is that you have the proper car number in there, and you're just going to click add. So that's the first way that that you can add a racer to your event. Underneath now you can see Benny Baum, he has LIC. That means he has a licensed confirm. That's because remember back up on the setup page when I did the required registration and I said it was my point sign up. This just tells me that he is a member of my point sign up. The other way you can add a driver is to go up here to the search bar and you can start typing the first and last name of the one of your drivers that you're trying to find, because they may have an account already in My Race Pass, and we do not want to create duplicate accounts for the same driver. It creates messy results and it's hard to keep track of for the driver and or the tracks that driver attends. So try to make sure that you're really diligent on searching for a driver's name in multiple different ways. Like I found Vic the first time, but if I didn't find Vic vendor, maybe I should look for Victor vendor, because maybe he used Victor to sign in one time. So make sure you look for other variations and make sure you're picking the right one. So obviously double check that you're picking the one with the proper city and state if it appears, because there could be a Victor vendor from somewhere else as well. So make sure you're really keeping track of the proper person. So if you search for their name and their name does show up, you can click on their name and add them to your race. It's going to say, are you sure this is the first time they've ever gone to your race? And you're going to say yes. And again, all the same information. Notice it says this entrant does not have a confirmed membership. That just means he's not one of my points racers. And that's okay. He can still come to my race. So in the number box, this is where you're going to put his car number. Obviously, that will be on his tech card if he turns a paper tech card in. And again, I'm going to set this as his default because it is a membership. It is like an IHRA member in a different track. And again, you can see all these different pieces of information. Underneath licenses, we have this new option right here for licenses. That's because, again, I required a registration. So you can see that there's two options. You can allow entry without confirmed membership, or you can purchase a temporary license. On the oval side, sometimes you have temporary licenses that you can purchase. So I'm going to allow entry without confirmed membership. Notice before I check that box, I cannot add him. I have to select one of these options. So I'm going to allow him to run without a confirmed membership. Again, that just means without a point sign up. And then I'm going to click add. That's the second way you can add a driver. The third way is if you start searching and you don't find their name, I'm just going to put a bunch of gibberish in here just because I want to show you. It'll say create new is the only option. You can create a new driver. When you click create new, it does ask you for a few pieces of information. You have a first name, last name, hometown, and state. And then you'll just say, yes, this information is correct. Because again, we don't want people purposely adding incorrect information because again, it makes it messy for us to clean up later. So again, those are the things you're going to have to put in, and you're going to click create, and you will create a new profile for one of these racers. So those are the three ways you add racers to your events. If you look at this drop down right here where it says my competitors, you can change this to pre-entries. That would be somebody who filled out a registration for this event. Or you could do by track series or last event. The other option is, or not option, but the other thing you can do is you can filter this list. So let's say your list was super long beyond the window that you can see. You can start typing in either somebody's name, or you can type in somebody's car number and it will filter the list down to the options you have. So then you can find the right person. You can double check their car number. We're going to allow him to run without a membership again. Add him to the event. Going to take this back out. If you see that you have a bunch of car numbers that you know are accurate, like you see the same people every weekend, you actually can go down here to where it says speed entry and you can check that box and you can just click and it will automatically enter them without popping up that window. Again, this works if they're not, like obviously this popped up because he's not a confirmed member. So I need to allow him to run and I'm going to push OK. And then that's the nice part about that speed entry. It's a lot faster. As long as you know that the car numbers are right, it makes the process quite a bit quicker. So from our list, you can see that there are 5 licensed, quote unquote, licensed driver or points racers. and the other 3 are not. Again, that doesn't mean anything other than it's going to be easier for us to calculate points later. So now that we have all the racers in our race, I'm going to show you how to connect the live timing so that for PortaTree, the live timing for PortaTree, so that we can do some live timing data. And then I'm actually going to disconnect the live timing, and I'm going to show you how to do some manual results as well. So to connect the live timing, it's not overly difficult, but you do have to dig in a little bit to your command prompt to really get into it. So the first thing you'll need to have on your computer is what we call an MRP Live. It looks like this. There is, if we go to this MRP Live tab here on our profile, let's go back to here. If you go to the MRP Live on our profile, it does say download MRP Live. If you are a drag strip, please do not download that one. That one's actually the oval download. So if you need an MRP Live and you don't have one on a machine, you're going to contact me, amanda.wessler@myracepass.com, or support@myracepass.com, and we can get you the right MRP Live version for what you're trying to accomplish. So when you install MRP Live, I'm going to say this for the PortaTree folks, you are going to have a separate laptop or a separate machine running MyRacePass or MRP from your timing system, because we all know that drag racing timing systems, we do not want those connected to the internet. Therefore, you need to have a separate machine that's going to run MyRacePass, because MyRacePass needs an internet connection. So what you're going to do is you will have a separate laptop, and you're going to download MRP Live on it, and that's where you're going to run your profile from. And you're going to connect that to your timing system. We have an amazing Help Center article. It's called Connecting MRP Live for Drag Racing, or for Drag to PortaTree. It tells you what to do. Here's another spot where you can download that MRP Live, is on this Help Center article. You can download the drag racing MyRacePass interface here. We call it the live client, by the way. So connecting it is a little bit tricky the first time, but once you have it set up the first time, it's really not that challenging. So again, you're going to have a separate machine. You're going to download this on a separate machine. As you can see, this says this is a separate machine from your timing system. And then you're going to open it up. In order to connect live timing to your timing system, there's a couple of things that you need. You need the IP address from that separate machine. Well, actually, you just need the IP address from your Ethernet connection, which I'll show you how to get that specifically. And then you're going to have this port number. This port number needs to stay at 50,000. It's always 50,000. Don't mess with it. You don't need to. This should default to PortaTree IP/port, but if it doesn't, make sure you pick PortaTree IP/port. And then the live code, we'll talk about getting that in a minute. But right now, we need to focus on getting the IP address. So from this Help Center article, I'm going to kind of use this as my reference, because I don't have an Ethernet connection on my computer right now. So I'm going to show you kind of what you look for. So the first thing you're going to want to do is go to your command prompt. To get to your command prompt, you're going to go to your search bar, and you're just going to start typing in command prompt. As you can see, I've done this several times, so it's on my list. And you're going to click on command prompt. It will bring up this window like this. Inside of this window, you're going to type in ipconfig, CONFIG, and /all. And you're going to push enter. It's going to bring up a whole bunch of numbers, and it's going to look really confusing potentially. But you're going to look for a section that says Ethernet adapter Ethernet. As you can see right here, it's going to look like this: Ethernet adapter Ethernet. Underneath of that, you're going to look for IPv4. I should zoom in on this, guys. I'm sorry. It looks a little tiny. You're going to look for IPv4. That's the IP address you need to put into your MRP Live client. So once you find it, mine's going to be a little bit different because, again, I don't have an Ethernet connection. But once you find your IP address, mine's right here, you're going to copy it, and you're going to paste it into that race data IP address section right here. So you're going to copy and paste your IPv4 from your command prompt into this spot. When you're done, you can close your command prompt. And then again, like I said, your port number is always going to stay 50,000. So now the last thing we need is our MRP live code. You're going to get that from your MRP live tab on your profile. You can see up here in this top left box, this is your MRP live code. You're going to copy and paste this into your live client. Again, the MRP live codes are all different. So every night is going to have its own unique live code. So you cannot use the same live code 2 nights in a row. And if you try to, our system does throw an error and say, hey, you don't have the right one, you should try again. So once you have the proper IP address, port number is 50,000, and you copy the connection code from here, you're going to click connect. When you connect, you should see green connect on both PortaTree and MRP Live. At that point, you're going to go over to your timing system. You're going to go to your announcer computer, not your front seat computer, but your announcer computer. Once you go to your announcer computer, you're going to open up your PortaTree announcer program, and you're going to go to your setup, your announcer setup. It opens up this window. Typically, you have to use this window to find the right path for your files anyway. Underneath of all of the file information, down here, you're going to see this checkbox that says Enable NHRA Live Timing. You need to check that box, and you're going to type in the same exact IP address that you used for your live code, for your MRP Live, this one right here. You're going to type this in to the IP address of right here, and you're going to put 50,000 in the port number. And then you actually want to uncheck or deselect the send in real time. Send in real time on PortaTree is like, I pass the 60 foot, it sends 60 foot. I pass the 330, it sends 330. We don't want to turn that on because that's what the live timing is going to look like coming through on the app, and people can obviously use that to their advantage. So we want to uncheck this send in real time. So again, you want to enable NHRA live timing. IP address needs to match this IP address, and port number needs to be 50,000. Once you've done that, you should be able to click save right here on this PortaTree window, and it should update rather quickly, and it's going to turn green up in your top left saying that you have live timing running. If it doesn't update fairly quickly, if it doesn't save it fairly quickly, please double check your IP address and make sure that it matches exactly. The one thing that I didn't tell you to do in here, but it is in these directions, is you do need to run an Ethernet cable from your separate machine to the router that your timing system is running on. So from your separate machine to the router that your timing system uses. It does say that right here in step 2 where it says to connect it. But that's how you're going to connect the MRP machine to your timing system. I apologize. You need to do that before you start trying to do anything on your PortaTree side, or actually before you try to do even the live timing stuff. So please make sure you follow the steps here in this help center article. You do need to connect the 2 machines first, or machine to the network, and then you can go into the IP address and all of those things that I talked about. So that's how you connect your live timing. So again, I'm all connected because both of these are green. If at any point during your race that you've noticed that maybe you lost internet connection or something seemed to have happened, please click the refresh replay or relay. It will refresh your connection for you, and you should be good to go after that. So now that we have live timing connected, the other thing I want to talk about on this MRP live screen before I move on is our new feature called Announcer Audio. Announcer Audio is super awesome because it does allow you to broadcast your announcer from your tower through the MRP app, and that can be listened to, at home. It can be listened to at the pits. You could have somebody on the front of the staging lanes who's listening to make sure that they're not missing calls. It's really nice for pit areas if you don't have very good speakers or your radio reception isn't great. If you are using my MRP audio, because people can use their Bluetooth speakers, or they can use their cell phones or their AirPods or their headphones or whatever it might be to be able to hear the calls that they're being made. They can hear the announcer with the play-by-play. It just makes it really nice for people all over your pits. So to initiate the announcer audio, we again have a really nice Help Center article that shows you what to do. I'm not going to talk completely through this because Austin does a really nice job in this video of explaining it. But you're going to get a separate interface for streaming audio that's going to run between your PA system and your a machine, a laptop, or laptop that's running MRP audio. So in this video, he explains what pieces you need, how to connect them, and that kind of thing. The coolest part is you can use this exact same machine that you're using for the live timing if you're able to use live timing. If you're not able to use live timing, you can still use announcer audio. You don't have to have those both simultaneously. You can use one without the other. But you connect it to your PA system, and then on the MRP side, you're going to click this Add Audio Stream. You'll give it a name. So it might be important to like use the same name as your event or add some exciting details right here in the description area. And then you can also restrict it if you want to, like geofence it to where people within a certain radius can't hear it, or a blackout distance so people within so long can't hear it. You have a bunch of different options if you want to do that. We don't know why people would want to do that, but some people want to do that. So it is there for you if you'd like to. We like to think about like sharing your amazing announcer and your awesome racing with whoever wants to connect to it. So we don't like to restrict it to anybody. So then you're going to click Add. And once this is up here, you can see now that I've refreshed, it says it's waiting for the next event or the next race. That means that my live timing is connected. Now that I have my audio stream started, I can click this link, or I can email it to my announcer, or I can copy and paste it into something else, into an email or whatever else. And this is where I'm going to start my announcer audio. So it brings up this separate audio window, and you can connect it. Obviously, I don't have any geofencing or anything connected. You need to click on whatever default microphone that you're going to use. A lot of times it will be the name of your PA interface that we're using. And then you need to click this button here that says My Race Pass is not responsible for any content on your audio stream. In case somebody says something inappropriate, it obviously is not something we condone, and we don't have control over it because you're the one talking. So once you have all those things, then you're going to click Connect, and it will start streaming the audio. I'm not going to click Connect because then it will start playing on top of what I'm saying. But that's how you do announcer audio. If that was really fast and you need more help, obviously reach out to us, support@myracepass.com. And we'd be happy to walk you through it. We can set up a walkthrough, and we can talk a lot about that stuff. So just let us know what you need. All right, so now that I have my live timing connected, I'm going to show you kind of what it looks like to do live timing. So if you're a PortaTree track, once you have your entries in and you are connected to live timing, you're set to go for the evening. You don't have to touch anything else until the end of the night when you're ready to do points and pay, unless we have some computer operator error and somebody accidentally puts the wrong car number in or something of that nature. We may have to do a little finagling with that throughout the evening, but hopefully that doesn't happen too often because, it can be a little bit cumbersome to have to go back and figure out why we're missing runs, and it's really because I put a 5 instead of a 4 because I fat fingered it or something of that nature. Or if it's done in shoe polish, you couldn't read what it said potentially. So now that I've got all of this set, I'm going to run a couple simulation races. We have a race simulator that we use for what we do at My Race Pass. So I'm just going to start clicking in some races, and you're going to start seeing some data come through. Give me a second. All right. And we're going to, so you can see, now you can see I sent a pair went down the racetrack, and you can see that I've got a first pair here. This right here says Luke left and Ronald right because that's what's in my timing system, quote unquote. But if I go over here now that I have a pair that went down the track, if I go over here to my results tab, you'll be able to see that it actually was Benny Balm and Sid Symphony that went down the track. It says that they've red lit, and it also marked a winner. If for some reason you need to change that, like let's say that somebody hit the wall or crossed the center line or something of that nature, you can switch who the winner is, all just by the click of this button if you need to do that. If you do change it, obviously you'll want to save as a result. You can also mark if they oiled the track down. You could also put a note in here. So let's say that Sid Symphony did hit the wall. I can click on this and change the winner, and then I can add down here, Sid hit the right wall. And that information will show up on the results side of this race. So you click save, and you make it through. And then you're gonna run, and then your next pair will go down. And obviously you don't have to do this winner change. You don't have to do that in real time. You can do that whenever. You can go back and do that at the end of the round. It isn't going to affect anything truly. So let's do one more pair through live timing. And send away. So now if I refresh this page on the app, it'll automatically refresh, but because we're on the admin side, you'll have to click refresh. And now you see we have two pairs. So if I go to the second pair, you'll see that was Vic and Kenny. And you can see that Vic redlit, so then Kenny was the winner. And that's literally all you have to do for a PortaTree system. You just let the pair go down the racetrack, and you can see the results just come through all on their own. You don't have to touch anything, like I said, unless somebody accidentally puts in the wrong car number. That's the only time that you'll have to adjust anything on the fly. So there's my third pair. I do have one more pair because we had 8 cars in here. So I'm going to put this last pair in and randomize it up. And now we have that fourth pair in there. So you can see now we have 4 pairs. And you can see that, again, Len won because Hank redlit. All right, so I'm going to go through really quickly and mark who my losers were, because we're going to use that information in a minute to help us out on some buyback stuff. So we do have the opportunity to do buybacks in our system as well, which makes it really nice because in our point schemes that you can develop for your races, you can mark somebody as a buyback and actually award them different point values based on whether they're a buyback or not. I know at my home track, if you're a buyback car, you don't get 10 points per round. You only actually get 2 points per round for every round you win after the buyback points, or sorry, after the buybacks. So we have built that into our point schemes to take that into account. So it's a really nice feature that we have that's super handy and super awesome. I'm going to do one more round using our live timing side, and then I'll hop over and start using the manual results so that we can see how that is run as well. So let me do one more round of live timing. And I just sent our first pair down the track for elimination round 2. So now you can see an arrow pops up right here. So if I click that, now you can see I've got round 2. So I'm going to click on round 2, and I've got our first pair, which is Vince and Len. So now again, I can mark either of these as buybacks if I need to. So let's see, 4811, he was a buyback. So I'm going to click him as a buyback car. And then I'm going to click save as results, because he is going to get a different point value when I calculate points than Len will. Next pair I'm going to put down the track is going to be I apologize, typing numbers in. Obviously, if any of you are the computer operators, you know it takes a lot of time, or takes some time to get those numbers in the right spot when you're rushing. So we're going to get that sent over. And now we've got a second pair, just went down the track for round 2. So when we are looking at the second pair, again, 99 was a buyback card, and 79 was also a buyback card. They're both buybacks. So we're going to click on both of those, and we're going to click save, and then we're going to move on to the third pair. Here comes the third pair from our round 2. Again, like I said, obviously it's quicker in real time because somebody doesn't have to type stuff in the computer every time. Cars just go down the track. So it is a little less cumbersome, perhaps is the right word. Neither of these cars were buyback cars, so I'm just going to move on to our last pair of this round. I do have to write down the winner for my own note-taking purposes. And the last pair is being sent right now. So we have that fourth pair from round number 2 to be added. Let's double check that neither of these are buyback cars. Yes, this guy is a buyback. So I'm going to mark him as a buyback and click save. You only have to mark them as a buyback one time. So most of the time, obviously, everybody is a buyback in second round. Either if you do buybacks as a second round, it's typically the second round that you run. Or if they just get put right back into second round, it's still typically the second round of your racing. If your second round isn't a complete buyback round, like it's a complete separate round, you'll just go through and mark everybody from second round as a buyback. And I'll show you in a minute where you can actually rename that round as a re-entry round rather than round 2, which is kind of nice because then on the results side, you'll be able to see that that actually is a re-entry round rather than round 2 when it comes to people viewing your results. So we've got those two in. We've got our second round down because everybody bought back. So now I've got 2 rounds in. So now I'm going to switch over from doing live timing stuff, and we're going to go into manual results. Manual results are something that we do offer, especially for those that cannot connect to live timing like PortaTree. It is kind of nice because you can still get round by round results. You can enter all of the data. Obviously, on a race night, it would probably not be something you do in the moment just because obviously there's a lot happening on race night. When you're trying to put in 6 data points, it's going to take a very long time, especially when you have 2 cars at a time. So you can just put car numbers and winners, and then you at least have that information if nothing else. So the way to do manual results is once you have your entries in, you're going to go to the races tab. Now ours is going to look a little bit different because we've already completed 2 rounds using our live timing. If you come in here and you don't have any races in here, it'll ask you to add races, obviously. What it means by add races is add as many elimination rounds as you need. You can add these 1 round at a time. You can add 20 rounds and then delete the ones you don't need. You can figure out how many rounds you're going to have and only add the number of rounds that you need. It's really up to you how you approach that. But there's a lot of different ways you can do that. So because we've already added 2 rounds, we're going to click on add races, and it's going to ask me the number of elimination and or qualifying rounds that I'd like to add. I'm going to add 2 more rounds because I have 2 more rounds of racing before this race is complete. So I'm going to add 2 more elimination rounds, and I'm going to click add. Now you can see round 3 and round 4 have popped up. You can either click on them like before, it'll scroll to it, or you can just scroll yourself. You can see eliminations round 3 and round 4 do not have any pairs in them yet. The one struggle, quote unquote, I guess would be the right word, with doing manual results is you have to click add pair the number of times that you need to get all of your pairs. So if your first round has 30 some pairs, unfortunately you have to click that 30 some times to get the number of pairs that you need. And then you just add it, then go to round 4, and I'm going to add a pair there because that's going to be my final. And then once you're done adding all your pairs, you're just going to click save. Like I said, you can do that round by round. You can do all your rounds at one time. It's up to you how you want to set your race up. As I was saying before with your round two, if your round two is a re-entry round, you can rename this as like re-entry round. You could put re-entry round. And then that's what would show up on the result side. Even though it says elimination round here, round two up here, this does not publish anywhere. Whatever is in this box is what publishes. So you can rename this as your re-entry round, and then you would change this to round three, and then this to round four, and so on and so forth. That's another way you can do that if you've got that separate re-entry round. Otherwise, I'm just going to leave this as elimination round two. You can call it anything else that you'd like as well. You could also have this option to put sponsors here. If each round is sponsored by somebody, you could do that. You could put their sponsor name here, and then that would obviously gives you more opportunity to advertise for your sponsors, gives you more opportunity to get more sponsors, because you can say that you're going to be, elimination round one of all of my ET classes. Then obviously you could get some more sponsorship money from that as well. So once you've got all of your rounds added, all of your pairs added, you can see the ones we've already done with the live timing stuff say completed, and rounds 3 and 4 are not. Obviously, if you're doing all of it manually, all of them will say pending in the beginning. And then once you have all of them added, you're going to go to your results tab. When you click on the results tab, you're going to see that it automatically bumped me to round 3 because that's my first empty round, quote unquote. And so now I'm going to start this round. To manually put in results is not super difficult. You just type in the left car number, and then you can tab and type in the right car number. And if you push enter, it will pop up a pair. Notice that all of these boxes have zeros in them. Like I said before, you can take the time to put in every single increment if you would like to. You can just put reaction times and ETs and mile per hours. You can, and forget your incrementals in between. Or you can, like I said, you can leave them blank. It's totally up to you. Tonight, I'm going to leave them blank for time's sake. And then you're going to select who your winner is. I'm going to select Sid as my winner, and I'm going to click save. Then I'm going to go to the next pair. So up here, pair, go to the next one. Again, type in right car number, left car number, then your right car number, and push enter. Brings up your blank pair. Again, select your winner and click save. Again, if this is your buyback round or your second round, obviously you'll have to click your winners and your buybacks if they're a buyback or not, so that you can keep track of those for point's sake. And then you'll move on to elimination round 4. That's going to be our final. Notice we have one pair. Again, left number, right number, enter. If you miss, it's like, let's say you type it in wrong. Like, let's say you're typing it in and you push 134 instead by accident. It's going to give you an error that turns the box red. Down here at the bottom, it says it's an invalid car number. Verify your competitor information. That's when you make sure, oh, shoot, maybe I need to look at the car number again. The other error you're going to get is if you enter the same car number twice. Like, let's say you've already entered this car number once. It will not let you enter it a second time. So you can see that, oh, it did let me because they weren't in this round already. Shoot. You can see that that gave me the car number. So let's delete this. I'm going to clear this pair, and we're going to do it again. So let's say you did that by mistake like I just did. You can click clear pair and start over. This one's going to be hard because nobody else is in this round, but I'll show you it on a different pair. So 99 and 124, because every car number can only be entered one time per round. So if you try to enter the same car number twice, it's going to give you an error. So here's our final. Click a winner, click save. That's how you do manual results. Again, if you take the time to put dial-ins, ETs, and mile per hours in, it is going to take a little bit longer, but it's still going to give you some valuable information. So that's how you enter results, whether it's live timing results or manual results. Like I said, if there's a point where you entered one that you need to fix, like let's go back to this round real quick. Let's go to pair 2. I'm going to clear this pair out real quick. Okay. If I did 124R and then I tried to accidentally do 99 by mistake because he's already in a different pair, if I push enter, again, it's going to give me an error. A card number cannot be in the same qualifying or elimination round more than once. So again, I'm like, oh shoot, I put in the wrong card number. So now I can never correct that. And now we can get that right pair in there. So again, it is nice if you've messed something up, you can kind of correct the mistakes that have happened. So again, that's how you do an elimination round by hand, elimination round by live timing stuff. This test and tune tab I kind of skipped over. Test and tune tab, it does not necessarily give us any impertinent information. It is a nice place to check if you have some pending imports for our live timing folks. But other than that, that tab isn't necessarily useful for anything at this moment. So that's why I kind of skipped over it. Yeah, I think that's it when it comes to doing an actual round results. So the last thing I want to talk about today is points and pay. Points and pay is really nice because, like I said, we have the opportunity to calculate points and pay using some point schemes. If we have round by round results, we can do that. Otherwise, we can still put nightly points in, but they all show up as what we call show up points. Doesn't mean you can't give them a whole night's worth of points in one show up point section. We do have clients that do that. But if you take the time to put in some results, you will be able to calculate points using a point scheme. Once I'm done showing you point schemes and payouts, I am going to show you what it looks like on the front side of an event to have results and points so that you can see what it looks like if you have a MyRacePass website with us. And if you don't, what it looks like on the MyRacePass profiles. So, next up is to click the points and pay button. Initially, you're not going to have anything in here. Obviously, it's asking you to add a points and pay group. But if you are new to using points and pay schemes through us, you probably don't even have points and pay schemes set up. So to do that, what you have to do is you have to go up here to settings over here in the top right. Click on that and you're going to see an option that says point/pay schemes. You're going to click that. Inside of this, you'll be able to create schemes for the different things that you're wanting to accomplish. Point schemes are very straightforward in the fact that you can create one point scheme for an entire season and or race type, like your points races. However, our pay schemes are a little bit different because of the way that they're designed. You do have to create multiple pay schemes based on the number of rounds that your race might be, because it's all based on the largest round one. So if you win fifth round, your pay scheme has to have 5 rounds in it. You can't necessarily build one out and then go use that one. So I'll show you a little bit more when I do another pay scheme, but pay schemes have to be done based on the number of rounds of the racing that you have, where point schemes, you can build it out for like a 30-round race, a number that you're never going to get to, and it isn't going to affect anything. So to create a new scheme, you're going to click Add Scheme over here on the left-hand side, or if you haven't had one of those types before, you can click this big button here in the middle. Obviously, in drag racing, we don't necessarily have lineups, so we won't be using this lineup point scheme. But we're going to click over here and we're going to click a championship scheme. That's just a point scheme. You're going to call it something that you'll be able to find. So I'm going to use 2025 point scheme. And it is asked you down here if it's a drag racing scheme. It is, so you need to check this box. That just changes how the scheme is presented into a drag racing format versus an oval track format. So make sure that you check that box. Click Add. And then once you're in here, you can change the name of it if you need to. You can add a description if you need to. But the first box over here on the top right that you're going to have is your show up points. So if you give somebody points for just showing up to your facility or taking the beams for first round, those are the places where your show up points are going to come in. At this point, I would do either start points or non-start points. Currently, we have a little a little snafu between the two. So choose one of them to put your points in. It is not typical that somebody gives points for coming to the event and also staging at the event. But if you do, just let me know and I can help you figure out which one to put those in. So you can put start points here. Like my home track, we get 3 points for a start. That just means that they take any qualifier or elimination round. If you come to the race and run it all, you're going to get 3 points. Non-start points would be if you just showed up to the facility and you bought a tech card and you never raced at all, you still could get points. Final round bonus. This is like if you give a bonus to your winner and runner-up, and my home track, 10 points goes to the winner and 5 points goes to the runner-up. So that's a place where you can do bonuses. This is over and above what they earn round by round. So this would be like, you know, a bonus, obviously, as it says. So whatever you're going to give your winner and whatever you're going to runner up. Elimination rounds, this just means like how your rounds change. So like I said, number of rounds, this is how many number of rounds you want to be added or new rows that you want to be added. I'm going to do like 15 because again, I'm never going to have a 15 round race. So I know I'm never going to run out. And I give 10 points per round. So that means I'm going to start my points at 10 and my points increase 10 points at a time. So you get 10 points for first round, 20 points for second round, not additionally, but like accumulatively, right? You get 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. So that's what it's going to increase by. So once I have these numbers in here, I'm going to push this plus sign and it's going to add all 15 rows. You will see there's another column here. That's for my buyback points. That's if you give a different point value for your buybacks or if you don't give any points to your buyback cars. This column is what's going to be used for that. So if you give nobody points, if they're a buyback, like let's say somebody bought back and your buybacks don't get any points, you need to put all zeros in all of these boxes. If you give them the same point values, whether they're a buyback or not, you don't need to put anything in those boxes. You also don't need to check whether they're a buyback or not in the results side. If you give them different point values for being a buyback, that's where you're going to put this in here. Obviously, you're not going to give them points for first round because they're going to lose first round. So your first box will always be 0. After that, you're going to put in whatever points it is that you're going to give them for winning that round. So if I'm a buyback and I win second round, I'm going to get 5 points. And it's going to increase by 5 every time, at least in my scheme. Obviously, everybody's scheme is different. It is very uncommon that 2 tracks have the exact same scheme. I found that out doing several of these. All right, so I put all my buybacks in. I'll give 5 points for being a buyback rather than 10 points so that you get less, obviously. So you can see that it's a little bit different here. And now that I have my elimination rounds done, I can, if I need to, add qualifying ladder points. So if your class is a qualified class and you give points for number 1 qualifier and so on and so forth, you can add those here. I will add them. It doesn't hurt anything to add it. Let's say that sometimes it is laddered and sometimes it's not. It's not going to affect anything if you don't do a qualifying round. It's not going to use these points anyway. So I'm going to say that 10 points goes to the number 1 qualifier, and it goes down by 1 every time. And I'm going to add those 8 spots. So you can see that the number 8 qualifier gets 3 points. And then I'm going to save. That's how you create a point scheme. Again, you could have this go up by 1s. You could have it go up by 2s. We have some people who start at 11 points and then they go up by 1. So like it'd be 11, 12, 13, 14, so on and so forth. So you can do it that way as well. So there's a lot of different ways to set these up. If you find that you don't understand how to set up your point scheme, like maybe you're like, I want to make sure that I'm doing this right, please again, either email me, amanda.wessler@myracepass.com or support@myracepass.com and just say, hey, I need some help setting up my point scheme. and we'll be happy to help you out with that. So there's my point scheme. If I go back, I'm also going to create my pay scheme while I'm here. So you can do this a number of different ways as well. You can, sorry, I'm trying to eliminate some windows. You can, like I said, we're going to do it per round. So I've already created a 5-round race payout, but because our race tonight was only 4 rounds, I need to create a 4-round race payout. So I'm going to add a scheme. This time I'm going to add a payout scheme. Again, I'm going to give it a name. I'm going to say this is the 4-round race payout. And again, it's asking if it's a drag racing scheme. And of course, I'm going to click yes, it is. And I'm going to add. So now this looks very much the same as the, point scheme. I have show up pay. I don't know that I've ever seen or I've ever received a show up pay, but there is an option to do show up pay. There's also an option to do a final round. It says bonus, but this is what they're going to receive. So competitors winning will receive this amount of money in the final round. So the winner will get this amount, the runner-up will get this amount. You can do it that way and put your winner pay and your runner-up pay right here. I actually do it in the elimination round section. So I skip over this final bonus round pay and I come down here to the elimination round pay. And I'm going to add 4 rounds because we had a 4-round race. And I'm going to leave these 2 blank because I'm going to build my pay scheme from the final back. So I'm going to leave both of these empty and I'm just going to push plus. Right now it's all zeros. Buyback pay, again, if you pay your buybacks differently than you do your regular racers, you can do that. To be sure that it doesn't matter whether you're a buyback or not, I actually put the same amount in both spots. So if this person won 4th round, that means they won the final. So I'm going to put my final round pay in this box, $1,500. I'm also going to put it in this box. My 3rd round, meaning the winner of 3rd round, because this goes based on the highest round they have won. My 3rd round winner would be my final loser, or my runner-up. Their money is going to go in this spot. So that'd be $500. Next round down would be my semifinalists. They're going to get $250. And then it is the first round losers, which is crazy to me, but my first round losers, which would be my quarterfinalists, are going to get $100. So I build my pay scheme from the final backward. That way I know where I need to start paying people, essentially. You can do the same thing down here with qualifying ladder. If you give qualifiers, same thing. You can add like 8 spots. Again, you can say if it's an incremental pay, you could say pay starts at a certain amount and decreases by a certain amount. Or you can just add them and then give their pay amounts here in the pay box. And that's how you build a pay scheme. So once you have both of your point scheme and your pay scheme built, you can apply them to your race. So once you have, or I should go back. Once you've built these schemes will be here forever for you. No matter what season you're in next year and so on and so forth, these schemes will stay here. So you can leave them here. You can go in and modify them from year to year if you need to. Let's say your pay scheme changes. Like let's say you get somebody who sponsors and you need better payouts or whatever it might be. You can change your payouts right here. You can either click on the name and it will bring up the scheme that you've created, or you can click over here on the pencil and click edit or copy, whatever you need to do, or delete if you want to get rid of it. So again, points and pay schemes are there for you whenever. Once you're done, you're going to close this window out and we're going to go back to our points and pay tab and just add this to the points. So once you've built your schemes for the season, you don't want to have to look at that page again. Just at the end of the night, after you're done with your results, you'll click points and pay and you'll click add points pay group. And then you're going to give this a name. I'm going to do 2025 points just because I want to. And I can use this. Like I'm setting this up for the first time here. So once I've done it one time, I can use this same points group next time because it'll be listed underneath of there saying, hey, do you want to use the same one you did last time? And if I do, then it'd be way faster and easier for me. So underneath point scheme, under the drop down, I'm going to pick the 2025 point scheme. And under pay scheme, I need to pick my 4-round pay rate, 4-round race payout because I only had 4 rounds tonight instead of 5. The schedule I want to apply this to, I want to apply this to my points, my ET bracket schedule. And obviously I'm going to pay it to my, or points are going to apply to my competitors. In the oval side, once in a great while, we have it where they do owner points or team points. So there are options for those, but in drag racing, typically they go to the competitors. Now, here's where that nice points the points sign up registration comes into play. Underneath where it says points eligibility, currently it's selected as manual. I can go through here and uncheck anybody that I don't want to receive points. But you also see this word license listed next to 5 of our racers because those are the 5 racers that are signed up for points. If I click on this drop down, I can say that I want license or temporary licenses only. That means anybody who has a license, quote unquote, a point sign up, will be eligible for points. So if I check this, you'll notice that these 3 people who do not have license next to their name are now unchecked. That's because they're not going to earn points because they're not in my point signups. The same can be done for pay eligibility. If only the people with licenses get paid, you can choose that. Same thing. Or if everybody's getting paid, you can leave this as manual select. Once you've done those things, you are going to push add. And it's automatically going to calculate the points that every racer receives, points and pay, for every racer in this race. Here at the top, you can see this is the event totals. And you can see that some of these people earned 53 points, 23 points. Vic didn't get any points. Neither did Sid, nor Hank, because those were my non-points racers. So anybody who has 0 points were my non-points racers, or they didn't get any show-up points because they didn't like race, quote unquote. And then over here in the pay column, you can see that the winner, Kenny Cupcake, he got 1,500, Sid got 500, so on and so forth. If at any point you need to make adjustments to your points or pay, like let's say you have an adjustment for the winner, like the winner got a $500 bonus from one of your sponsors for this evening, you're going to go down here to the final round, so not round 1, but if you go all the way to the bottom where round 4 is, you can give the winner an adjustment. Like let's say he gets a $500 adjustment because, again, your sponsor was so generous to give an extra bonus money for tonight. And you're going to click save. And now you'll see up here at the top, his payout now is $2,000 for total for the event. So again, you can make some adjustments. It shows you when they earned that amount, when they earned their points, how many points that round that they earned. Like Vince was a buyback, so you can see here in round 2, he only earned 5 points. Where Benny went out second round, he lost second round. That's why he earned 20 points. If you see some of these are zeros, that's because they're either not points racers, or see the ones that are highlighted in yellow, those are your non-points racers. That's why they're zeros. But if it's 0 otherwise, like Kenny Cupcake, he's still 0. That's because he won. So he hasn't gotten points yet. He hasn't earned points yet. You're only going to see points in this column when they've lost. So you can see Kenny Cupcake lost 5th round, quote unquote. So you can see he got 50 points. And Sid was the runner-up. And because he was a non-points racer, he didn't earn any points. So, and at the bottom, you can see who got show-up points and who didn't. Again, it depends on if you're in points or not. So obviously, Sid didn't get any because he's not in points. And a few of the other guys as well. So that's your points setup. And again, you can see your payout here on the right-hand side. Last thing I'm going to talk about tonight, I know I'm really long-winded and I apologize. It didn't help with the 3 segments that we're working with. But last thing we're going to do is calculate payments. This is if you're going to print checks from my race pass, quote unquote. You can print payouts from here. If you already do that through your timing system or you give cash or whatever else, you don't need to worry about this. but there is an option to print payouts here. It is still nice to keep track of your pay inside of My Race Pass because there are some reports that you can run at the end of the season, particularly to see how much somebody's earned throughout the season. So you can talk about 1099s and those kind of things. It makes it really nice for that kind of stuff. So even if you don't print checks through here, it is nice to keep track of your pay through My Race Pass because of those extra bonuses where you can see accumulatively what somebody's earned over the season. But if you are going to print checks through here, you're going to click Create Payments. This is the Other Payments tab we were talking about right here that we were talking about yesterday. This is what you're paying your racers. And it's going to come up with the event name, the event date, my bad, and the class name, as well as the description of where it's located. And, excuse me, and you're going to see all the payouts for the 8 racers that you had. If you're going to pay them out in a different manner, like I said, like you're going to not use a check, you can change this. You can see there are lots of different options. And you can keep track of, how many people you paid cash to, so on and so forth. So here's your total payout down here at the bottom. And to then create those checks, you're going to click this Create Checks button down here at the bottom. It's going to bring up a new pop-up window, and you need to make sure that you choose the check layout that you're looking for. I happen to use this laser top check. And then you're going to put your starting check number in here. So let's say I'm going to start at check 1000. And again, I understand that these are going to be paid to the respective payees. And then the cool part is you can even check how you want the print order to be done. Do you want it in running order, meaning finals, semis, quarterfinals, so on and so forth? Or you can do it by last name, or you can do it by card number. So you have a couple options of how you have your checks organized. So when they come out, you're not rifling through checks as people come to receive them. So I'm going to do running order. Again, you can see these bottom 2 guys are not checked because they're not receiving any money. But we're going to write checks for all of the rest of these individuals. So we're going to click Create. It'll pop up a new PDF window, PDF style window, that shows you what the checks are going to look like. You load your checks into your printer and you click Print. When you do that, they'll print out right onto your checks and you'll be ready to hand those out to the people waiting to receive them. There is a really cool payout report that you can get here. You can also get it from another spot I'll show you. But if you click on this payout report, really nice and easy. The cool part is on this printed checks one, a lot of times we'll keep this out. I know a lot of my colleagues do this. They'll run this payout report because they like to have like their competitors sign for their checks when they pick them up so they know that they've picked them up. So when Kenny comes to pick up his check, he's going to sign in this blank spot that he's received his check, and so on and so forth. Sid would do the same, Penny would do the same, and so on. These are the printed checks versus the class payees. So it's kind of a similar report. In this case, it looks exactly the same because we didn't have more than one class run tonight, but that's what it looks like. Really handy to use when you're doing check payouts. So back on the payout screen, payment screen, this screen right here, you also have the option to do a print mailing labels. Like let's say you're going to mail your checks, you can print mailing labels as long as they all have addresses in your system, in the My Race Pass system through a registration or because you've added them. You can print out mailing labels. There's the other place to get that report. If I click report, it's going to print that same payout report that I just showed you a moment ago. Lastly, it's the very last thing I'm going to talk about. We do have a QuickBooks export. You can export your payouts to QuickBooks to try to keep track of that in a one nice concise place. Again, that's really handy for 1099s at the end of the season because you can export it right to QuickBooks and be done with it. So let me double check that I didn't forget something I wanted to mention. No, I think we are good to go. So that's the last thing I want to talk about tonight. I really appreciate anybody who stuck around with me. I apologize for having to do 3 separate segments. I don't know what happened. But we will, like I said, put this together into one nice sliced video. Austin's really good at that. So he'll be able to put these 3 sections together and create one video that'll be on our YouTube channel. And it'll be nice and easy for you to find. If you need help finding it or you need help with anything else, or if you have any other questions about anything, Again, you can email me, amanda.wessler@myracepass.com, or you can email support@myracepass.com, and we'd be happy to help you with anything there. You can also go to mrphelp.com and you'll get to that help center where you can find some of those articles I was referring to earlier. So I appreciate everybody's time and everybody's dedication to my video. Tomorrow we will be talking about tickets. We have so many options with tickets. It's amazing all the things we can do. We can do so many different things. So please, please, please come back. If you're thinking about tickets or if you've done tickets with us before, or if you want to do tickets, thought about doing tickets, join me tomorrow, same time, same place, and we will talk all things tickets, from season passes to reserve tickets to all sorts of things. So I appreciate your time tonight, and everybody have a great evening.